gosh, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Ganja Goddess Show. Today is the mother freaking day. Whoop whoop. To march for freedom, to legalize marijuana here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today is the marijuana march. Woo! I am so excited. I got my green eye makeup on, girl. I'm rocking the pot leaf earrings. I got my pot leaf leggings on. I am so ready for today, and I can't wait to show y'all the event of this year. And I hope it's gonna be great. I got my doobies rolled up, and I'm ready to march. All right, let's show y'all guys what's gonna go down today. We got some awesome speakers. We got some vendor booths, and yeah, and then we're gonna march for freedom. So, I can't wait. All right. I hope y'all will show up. I hope people will show up today. I hope you will fight for your rights to smoke weed. I hope we legalize it eventually in Texas. And I'm so excited. Let's get this day going.
I used to have those, and mine broke. I was so sad.
I got them on Amazon.
Oh, really?
Do you like to try some of the body butter? It's 50 milligrams. Sure.
Okay, guys, we're here at the march. Already token up. Already went by some of the booths. Not a whole lot of people here yet. Hopefully some more people will be here soon, and the speakers start soon, guys.
To DFW NORML's annual event. This is, as far as I know, and it's going to grow a little bit, but as far as I know, the biggest cannabis event in the state of Texas. If anybody knows of a larger one, please let me know and I'll stop saying this, but the largest cannabis event in the state of Texas in downtown Fort Worth. Can we make some noise?
Yeah.
People would think that something like this would be happening in Austin, and they do stuff like this in Austin, well and good, but this is the biggest cannabis event in Texas, guys, in conservative Fort Worth. You never would have thunk it, huh? It's the power of a few volunteers. A few volunteers that power DFW NORML that make this event happen. So can we get some noise for our DFW NORML volunteers that made this event possible? So this was an event that originally began as part of the Global Marijuana March. That is an event that happens in over 300 cities around the world on the first weekend of May every year. That's Tokyo, that's California, that's everywhere is doing something like this. And the first time that I went to a DFW marijuana march, it was a global marijuana march in Dallas. Guess how many people were there?
5, 4, 12,
3.
120, 14.
We had less than 50 attendees. Our march was relegated to the sidewalk the entire time. And it was not that eventful. And it was not that great. And now fast forward to 2019, and I am fully expecting to see at least 1,000 people out here today. What do you think? Typically our crowd tends to show up just before things happen. I don't know why that is. I bet everybody's sitting on the couch like, all right, one more dab. And then they realize, oh crap, I've been watching Shawshank Redemption for 2 hours. I missed the march. So first off, thank you all for being here and participating in your own liberation.
Yeah.
I think we all know that cannabis should not be a crime. I think we all know that Texas is a little bit behind the times when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that we all know we have a role to play in changing that. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Then today,
Hell yeah.
you will hear from some of the people who I believe have a role to play in this fight. And the entire point of them here of you hearing them today is because I want to inspire you to be the next person to come up on this stage next year. or to go talk to your lawmaker, or your mom, or whoever else you need to talk to about marijuana and responsible cannabis consumption. Do you dig?
Yeah.
Palace.
Shaun, thank you much. That was such a great intro. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to hear a little truth? Each of us knows how beneficial this plant is, and all of us have told at least one person. These speakers who are following me are very brave because they're going to tell thousands of people today. Our first speaker is the founder of Get Lit, Get Fit. They are a health-minded cannabis community who focuses on well-being and fitness. Please, to start us off right, the lovely and talented McKenna Manis.
Woo!
Good afternoon, everybody. How's it going?
Woo!
That was weak. How's it going?
Woo!
Awesome. I love it. I just wanted to start off thanking you all for coming today, thanking you guys for putting this together. This is really incredible to continue to see this community grow. My name is McKenna, and like I said, I'm the founder of Get Lit, Get Fit. We're a community based off of natural wellness and cannabis awareness. We host events usually every month during the warm months, and we all get together. I bring games and activities. Everybody kind of celebrates life. They celebrate the fact that we have a community based off of cannabis awareness and cannabis education. We do yoga, we play games, and we're having an event next Saturday. So if you guys want to come, please join us. I wanted to share a little bit about my testimony. I wanted to kind of kick things off. We have a lot of really amazing speakers coming today, and I'm really grateful to be a part of this community. I've been using medical cannabis for health for about 6 years now, and everybody uses it for different reasons. I think that's what's so incredible about the plant. Obviously, we all know this, that's why we're all here today. Yay! I have dealt with using cannabis for endometriosis, anxiety, and PTSD-induced anorexia, and it saved my life. I should have died several times, and I'm very, very grateful. I think a lot of people here are grateful for that. And I started finding my passion for cannabis through studying fitness nutrition and then studying THC and CBD itself, and seeing the effects of things kind of combining together and allowing me to take my life back. And it's really incredible to be a part of this community and see how many people are taking their lives back. And obviously that's why we're all here today. So I wanted to lead you guys in some stretches, just something really, really simple to kind of get our blood flowing so we can get really pumped for the people that are coming to share their amazing stories with you today. So I'll give you a second to put your things down, and we're gonna do some really simple stuff, and we're not gonna sit on the ground, so you don't have to worry about your behind. Okay, so.
Guys, I know you guys are all at home getting lit and getting fit, but can you imagine if you get together and get lit and get fit? It's just about empowerment, showing someone your story, having them be empowered to share yours and their story. Legislators have told us, as we lobby time and time again, that the only thing that changes their minds, not data, not science, obviously, the only thing that changes their mind are stories, testimonies that they can connect to, something that will pull on their heartstrings. So each of you has a story. Please share it. Start sharing it. Let today be the first day that you start to share your story once per day. Be a bold activist. Our next speaker is a Christian author. He focuses on theology and apologetics. He is an author of a book called Cannabis and Christianity, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Thacker.
Yeah, I have to be down on the ground. I have to be able to walk around a little bit. I feel constricted up here, so. And I feel like I would trip more than likely if I don't trip over the cord. I want to take a moment to thank Jessica and Shaun and the whole DFW NORML team for doing a wonderful job with this whole event, as well as for giving me the opportunity to be able to speak before you today. It's definitely an honor and a privilege. And you know, we're all gathered here today from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different cultural influences, with one goal in mind, and that is the legalization of cannabis. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ, but I support the full legalization of cannabis.
Woo!
Thank you.
Amen.
You know, in the beginning, God said, I give you all herb-bearing seed for food. And what that really can be interpreted as, or translated as, is I give you all herb-bearing seed to utilize properly. This message today is really directed towards the politicians that claim to be Christians and yet oppose the legalization of cannabis, like the lovely Dan Patrick. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said whenever I was reading about it. I was very upset. But, you know, I really have spent a lot of time analyzing, trying to figure out what the motive was behind their reason for not wanting to legalize cannabis. And I broke it down and really began to understand that there's really three key factors to why they don't support the legalization of cannabis. And that is the first factor, and it's very uncommon, and that is that they're uninformed about cannabis. But that's very few of them that are uninformed. The majority are informed due to the wealth of information that we have on the benefits of cannabis, and the supporters like you that, you know, flood their desks with this information. So the majority of them are not uninformed. So it's typically the latter two of the three key factors. And that is the second factor being that they are funded and supported by people, groups, and industries that oppose the legalization of cannabis. And Dan Patrick is a wonderful example, as his top supporter is the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah. So, exactly. And so I find that quite ironic. And the third factor being that they are informed about the benefits of cannabis, and yet they just don't care. So basically, they're more about their own self-interest and well-being, rather than the interest and well-being of the citizens of Texas. And that's also a factor of an unloving heart as well. So there's really three characteristics that kind of sum up why these people, their motive behind not wanting to support cannabis, and that is they're led by greed, they're selfish, and they're unloving, which all three characteristics are contrary to their belief system of being a Christian. Being a Christian, the thing is you have to be led by the Spirit, selfless, and filled with the love of Christ. And they don't do that. They don't care. And so I think really my advice to any of these politicians that claim to be a Christian and yet oppose cannabis is to take time to reflect on your walk with God and to really, you know, delve deep within your being and really make sure that you're following the doctrine that you claim to follow, and sit there and really take time to reflect on these issues. Because Jesus touched on, he dealt with the same type of people in his day. Whenever he rebuked the Pharisees, he told them that they were, you know, well put together on the outside, and yet inside they were like whitewashed tombs, filled with dead men's bones. And what that means is that they were dead, spiritually speaking, inside. They may look all well put together, just like the politicians today, sometimes. They look all nice and dressed up, they look like they have it together, and yet really inside, they're dead, spiritually speaking. And so they need to go back, reflect on the walk with God, sit there and really delve deep within their being, make sure that they're lining up with the Word of God, repent, be transformed, be filled with the love of Christ, then go out and not just decriminalize, that's simple, but actually go out and fully legalize cannabis in the state of Texas, giving back to the people that which God ordained at the beginning of time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I sure feel the power of the people today. Thank you everybody for coming out. Now we are here making history today, and I want to remind you that you can stand up against unjust cannabis laws.
Woo! Yes. Yes.
I believe the power of the people is stronger than the people in power.
Woo!
But our state representatives are supposed to represent the people.
Yes.
However, I have learned that most of the people in power are not even listening to the will of the people. But by speaking up, activists across Texas are proving our our voices and our stories are very important. Right?
Yes.
We're here proving the power of the people because we're uniting as one force against evil. And we know the power of the people is strong. And we are a force to be reckoned with.
Woo!
Yeah, and in my own personal crusade for justice, I have traveled across this state and helped to empower others to step up and to get active too. I have been a cannabis consumer for about 45 years, so I've had many triumphs and many tribulations because of the unjust laws against cannabis. But for me, I found my voice speaking up at rallies and expos in the defense of others who cannot speak up for themselves. I spoke at the Southwest Cannabis Conference, and I even spoke at the Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas Business Cannabis Expo.
Woo!
I even went to Crystal Beach and spoke about my crusade for cannabis at Crystal Beach, at the beach, you guys, okay? And I even took action for Alex, the story of learning about jury nullification in your community. I went to the Libertarian Convention as a delegate in Houston, and then we went to New Orleans with our message.
Woo! Yeah.
And what I'm even most proud of, 3 years ago, just 3 days before I had open heart surgery, I stood and gave one of my first speeches for the DFW NORML March, and Russ Belville was here. He put my story in High Times magazine that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was 3 days before I had my open heart surgery, so I am a heart disease survivor. Now our stories are changing hearts and minds, and I know the power of people is strong, and our voices do need to be heard. And I started participating in my first legislative session 3 years ago in 2015. Now I shared the story of my son's unjust arrest and how prohibition has affected our family. I even shared how cannabis helps me with my chronic pain after fracturing my vertebrae 3 times. But by lobbying and testifying in front of a variety of committees, I have felt that power. I have felt the power of those testimonies. I have felt the power and the emotion in the rooms in those committee hearings. The people are getting stronger, and we are making progress. And many activist groups like Team Syntax and the COCW and Free the Weed, we've spent many hours on the street in communities across Texas with our signs and our flags, educating the community about it's not against the law to want to change the law. Right? And our voices are being heard all over the world. And this session alone, which I'm very proud, our community Team Syntax Community Outreach, we've been featured on our local news 10 times. And the first time was opening day when we went to the Capitol and delivered 180 of our patches for people against prohibition to each and every representative at the state capitol that day. And I have felt compelled to tell my story. And everybody has that right to tell your story.
Yes.
And thanks to the MJ Ladies Magazine, Lifestyle Magazine, several of the Texas women advocates, including myself, and several women here, speakers today, are going to be featured in their next magazine. Out at Barnes & Noble soon. And thanks to sharing our experiences and our love for cannabis, we're here changing history for all of mankind, future generations. And I'm very proud of my activism. All these photographs here with me doing activism, well, behind the scene, there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of other people taking similar actions. And it's the power of the people that are taking action that's going to create change in Texas. So thank you for coming out and making a difference.
Juveniles work out their problems through challenge courses, through zip lines, through high ropes courses, things like that. Get their minds off of worse drugs. Get their minds off of, wanting to be rebellious and run off and run amok in the streets. That's what we did, and you know what? That turned around so many lives. It turned around mine. Changing Course Foundation was the organization who I got placed with whenever I was 11, and I worked with them for over half a decade before I found another passion, because I was always very passionate about a couple of things. Since I was in foster care, I found out there was a statistic that said veterans and foster children are the #1 homeless population. They make up the majority of it. So I said, veterans mean I'm a Texan. I'm a Texan. Veterans mean a lot to me. How about y'all? And as a former foster care, I obviously have a personal note there. So I decided I wanted to get into the field of public interest law, and I found an attorney who was very inspirational, and he was a part of this cause called NORML. That was 5 years ago when my cousin Jordan brought me to this exact same march. And here I am 5 years later throwing that march. Guys, I've been a firm believer for a long time now that what you and each and every single one of you do in the comfort of your own home is your own business. There has never been a single documented death from marijuana ever. So there is no substance abuse problem. The problem is the law. Now, I'm going off topic. I'm just rambling because I've obviously been throwing this. I didn't I didn't write up any speech or anything like that. But I will say this: a few years ago at that march, Jax Finkel. Who knows Jax Finkel of Texas NORML? She is one of the biggest powerhouses in marijuana law reform in the state of Texas, and she was an inspiration to me when she said she heard a quote one time. I believe I'm sorry if I say it wrong. I think it was Lily Tomlin. It might be a wrong person. She said that Lily Tomlin said, "I was waiting for somebody to do something, and then I realized I'm somebody."
Soto, and the police came. They seized her assets. They took her property in her shop. Boo. They took her property. They said it's marijuana. It's marijuana, and we know it. It simply wasn't. So here to tell us our story and how everything turned out, Amy Was.
Sorry, I'm not tall enough to stand there and let everybody see me, so I'll be up here. So I'm Amy Was, and we have 2 stores, one in Lancaster and one in Duncanville. So on May 15th, the Duncanville police came and raided our stores both at the same time. They took, well, first they gave us the warrant and they said, we're looking for marijuana. So I thought, oh, well, we don't have any of that here. You can go look, go ahead. Then about an hour into it, they took all of our CBD products, and I thought, what are you doing? That's not marijuana. So I went up to the door and I told the officer, wait, that's CBD. It's from hemp. That's not marijuana. He said, no, it's marijuana. Thank you. Close the door on me. So I was like, wow, are they really this? Did they not know? Did they not know that it was just passed in the federal government on 2018 of December that this is the Farm Bill? It's not, it doesn't have THC in it. It doesn't make you high. So I thought, okay, well, I'll work on that. So they took it. They didn't give us any paperwork. I was like, okay, how am I supposed to know who to call? Don't worry, we'll be in touch. I'm like, that's not really enough. So I go to talk to our lawyer, and he says, oh, this is probably policing for profit. I was like, what? What's that? So that's kind of what I came here to talk to you about today. It did turn out to be policing for profit, sadly. It wasn't about hemp or CBD or even actual marijuana. Till now, there's not been any charges. No, they said they took 31 pounds of marijuana. No charges yet. Didn't arrest me on the spot. Didn't call the news media to tell them all about me. So I started learning about policing for profit. So officially, it is a civil asset forfeiture case that the police file against your property, not you. So anybody here, if you were stopped in a police or in a traffic, if the police stopped you in a traffic stop, you're going down the street, they stop you, pull you over. If the police ever ask you, is your car paid off? Never tell them yes it is. They're looking for the ability to be able to take your car. A man in East Texas, or a teenager, he was in Waco, he was driving a new Charger, and it was paid off. He ran through a stop sign, the police stopped him, gave him a ticket, gave him his ticket, was then looking at his car and said, is your car paid off? And he said, yeah. So then he says, oh, I think I smell marijuana. So then he takes him out of the car, searches his car, finds some marijuana, and arrests him, files the paperwork to keep his car, because it's paid off. And in Texas, when they take your property, car, cash, jewelry, electronics, anything they find of value in your car, they have 30 days to file paperwork against you to keep it. And it'll come a civil asset forfeiture case. It'll look like this, and it will be addressed to your car, your money, your property. It won't be addressed to you. It'll be addressed to, like my case, the $11,841 they took from our cash register, our safes, and we were just being notified that they're suing our money, saying it's doing some crime and they get to keep it. So this kid who was stopped in Waco, they filed the paperwork against him, and thankfully the district attorney there is a little bit better than some other district attorneys. Some district attorneys kind of are all for it. They just kind of go with what the police say, and it's a new way of the police department making profit. In the last 15 years, it's been maybe the majority profit ability of all police departments. In Texas, when they take your property or electronics or whatever they take and they file the case, the actual police department that took it gets to keep 70% of whatever they sell it for at auction or the cash that they take. So you have ability to fight back, but majority of people don't fight back. In Dallas County last year, there was 1,000 civil asset cases. Only 5 people fought back.
Wow.
Those 5 people that fought back won, but only 5 people. And that's pretty much the averages around the whole country. And if you're one of those few people who fight back and you lose, they get to keep 100% of the profits. And what do they do with that money? They use it towards overtime, new equipment. They have all kinds of things they can pay for it for. So it actually directly benefits the police who are arresting you or trying to take your property. But part of the problem is they never have to file any charges against you. So they arrest you, they put you in jail, they take your car, they claim they're charging you with something, but they never actually have to go through with that. They don't have to file the charges and send it to the district attorney to prosecute you. So they have 30 days after they take your property. They don't even have to arrest you like they did in our case. They have 30 days, they file the paperwork. If you were lucky and the 30 days pass and they haven't filed it against you, then you have the right to send a letter to the DA asking for your property back, and they have 2 weeks they're supposed to give it back to you. But majority of the time, that's not what happens. They file the case on like the last days like they did ours, and then the courts take several days, like 5 days, to actually send you the paperwork, so you think you're free and clear, but you're not. So I was doing a lot of research, and I wanted to explain some of the stuff that I found. So there are ways to help yourself, even if you can't afford a lawyer. There is a law firm who, JohnnyAppleseed.org. They made a whole toolkit for you to understand. They gave you step-by-step directions on what do you do. There's videos that show you the whole process. Even this is a sample of one of the papers inside, and it's actually the motion that you need to file in court to fight back to get your stuff. It's essentially fill in the blank. So I know everybody here can fill in the blanks and put their correct information in there that they need. Most of the information will be on the paperwork you receive from the court when they serve you. The case number will be on there, the address of the court, who you need to address it to. So all of it's in this paperwork and this. And the thing is if you don't ever fight back, you lose. So there's also no checks and balances on the police. So they take your stuff, they go to file the case. All at this point it's paperwork. The police file the paperwork, it goes to the clerk in the court. Even though it's actually signed by a district attorney that they're the ones doing the case, they've never seen it yet. They've never looked at it to decide, is this an accurate case? Is it valid? Is it worthwhile for me to spend my time and energy on? So unless you file the paperwork back that says, hey, I want to fight back on this, don't take my stuff so easily, until you file that back, the district attorney never sees your case. So did the police stop you on some stupid reason that's not even valid and you don't have any proof of it? Nobody knows. Unless you file this back and say, hey, I want to fight back, nobody looks at your case to decide, hey, maybe this guy really wasn't guilty. So it's kind of my thing today. I wanted to say, here's the paperwork, JohnnyAppleseed.org. You don't have to remember all this. If you or your friends ever get stopped and you find yourself in this situation, Google.
It's in the early 1970 or 71. The first state we came to when we were determined to find people who had had their lives fucked over by the marijuana laws and get some attention on them, we came to Texas because you had the worst laws in the country at the time. You still have tough laws, but they're not nearly as bad as they were in 1970. I'll catch up with that in a little bit. Let me start off by saying I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I'm a 75-year-old public interest lawyer based in Washington, D.C. And I first smoked marijuana in 1965 when I was a freshman at Georgetown. Always proud to say that, and I know the university shares in that pride. And I've been a regular smoker ever since. I think that's 54 years or something now. So I guess one can say I am, in fact, a regular smoker. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana, and it should be none of the government's business whether we smoke or why we smoke. Most Americans do not want the government coming into their house to know what books they read, what music they listen to, how they conduct themselves in the privacy of the bedroom, or whether they smoke marijuana or drink alcohol when they relax in the evening. It's none of the government's business. Now, by the way, on that issue, I always say that I'm bi-druggal. I actually go home and watch the news every evening. I live in Washington. We still watch the news. And I roll a joint and pour a glass of wine. I like both of them. Now, NORML, I hope, let me put this one. I hope most of you know, but I founded NORML, as Mr. Shaun said, back in 1970, as a result of some work I had done with consumer advocate Ralph Nader, and it was part of the effort to stay out of the Vietnam War, to be honest. I was a draft dodger, is what they called it at the time. But I was introduced to the concept of public interest law, where you use your law skills, your legal degree, to try to impact public policy rather than to try to help individual clients get rich or whatever it is regular lawyers do. And I'd never heard of it. I was raised on a farm in southern Illinois, but I was immediately attracted to the idea. So once I was old enough that I couldn't be drafted, up to that point I worked for a presidential commission called the National Commission on Product Safety because it kept me out of Vietnam. And as soon as I was old enough that I couldn't be drafted, I started NORML as a way to represent consumers, not the industry. On most issues, we're in agreement, the industry and consumers, but it's terribly important that smokers have their own voice. Because ultimately, what smokers want, they want a high-grade product that's affordable, convenient, and safe. And when I say safe, we want to make sure it's been tested in a state-certified laboratory, so we know there are no molds or dangerous pesticides. I want to make sure the THC and the CBD levels are accurately on the container. And generally, I want the market to come above ground. I want consumers to have a safe place they can buy their marijuana, rather than what we have been dealing with, most of us, you folks in Texas included. I live in Northern Virginia, so there's been a prohibition my entire life. Every time I have to score marijuana, I still take a risk that I'm going to be arrested and sent to jail. Now that's crazy.
Yes.
The latest polls show, well, let me back up. When we started NORML in 1970, Gallup poll had just done their first poll asking the American public, how many of you support marijuana legalization? Interestingly, prior to '69, they didn't think it was even an important enough question to ask. So it shows you where we were on the scale of national issues. Well, the answer, because they took it in late '69, I found it NORML in 1970, 12% of the American public supported legalizing marijuana and 88% opposed it. So I think it's safe to say we were probably a little naive when we set off on this journey. But I think also we recognize that a lot of the people who found fault in the government's aggressive policies in Vietnam were beginning to question other policies about that government, and in particular, the drug policies. And so we began to gradually pick up support. Now, it took a long time. The first time we hit half of the population supporting legalization was in 2011.
Representing the millions across the... Oh God, you gotta get excited! There we go! A little rain don't stop the cannabis family, baby. Legalize our medicine! Are you enjoying your tax-free Texas THC? What does liberty look like? We the people. What does liberty sound like? We the people. And what does liberty smell like? And forward.
For the most part, they're shit. No offense to the Brass Knuckle Company, whatever, that's their company. But I care about our consumers. I care about you guys. I don't want you getting sick on an inferior product. Capiche? Ask me about another one. Exotic carts. If someone comes at you with an exotic cart, do not consume it. Throw it away. I know that's an unpopular opinion, and I know some of you may be like, ah, shit, I just wasted $60.
Yeah.
But what's your health worth? Is it worth 60? Is it worth more? I'll tell you this, when my guy educated me on this, I had an exotic cart, and I thought I was doing the right thing. He educated me, I pulled up this thing. Is anybody on this thing called Instagram? Okay, if you're on this thing called Instagram,
right there.
remember this, the Doja app. D-O-J-A, the D-O-J-A app. It is an app, or it's an Instagram account that takes our products and pays for third-party testing of it and then posts the results. So you can find out, oh hey, exotic carts, guess what they're testing for? Pesticide. Oh hey, cereal carts, what are they testing for? Lead, or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what it is. But what I'm saying is that information is out there. And if you're consuming cannabis to make a healthier choice, and you're buying discount cartridges, and you kind of feel something in your lungs, or maybe all of a sudden you've got this weird skin thing, or maybe you just know that something isn't right, please throw that in the trash. We're better than that. And I would rather you guys be out there smoking flower that I already told you is not harmless, rather than you be out there taking cadmium and arsenic and then giving it to your mother. Or somebody else that, you know what, I've always wanted to try cannabis. Oh, this is safe, right? You think it is. But now you know maybe it's not. And I want you to carry that knowledge with you. And if your guy or your girl is selling known contaminated products, stop going to them. You should only be buying cannabis from someone you consider to be a trusted source or a connoisseur. Because they're not going to sell you garbage. You may pay a little bit more for it, but again, what is your health worth? I think it's worth everything, and I think you do too. Thank you all. Herbs the world.